Okay, today we're going to get an update on the Rotary Foundation, where we fit into it and how it's doing. From Treacy, I'm going to just briefly tell you a little bit about Treacy, for especially you new folks that aren't real familiar with it. He's our district 5020 fundraising chair for the whole district. That includes, British Columbia all the way down to Longview. He's a major donor in the Paul Harris Society and a Bequest Society member. Joined Rotary in '91, and he's a third generation Rotarian. His home club is, of course, this one now. He's the owner of Nationwide Insurance Innovative Company. Married his wife Joyce for 28 years. Father of a 26-year-old son named Andrew. He's the founder of Capital Scotch and Whiskey, which we'll actually hear about next year, first part of the next year. He enjoys fitness, cooking, tennis, yoga, dance, travel, of course. He's a Scotch collector of about 50 bottles of rare, discontinued Scotch and whiskey representing over 1,000 years of aging. So let's welcome Treacy Duerfeldt.
I figure I'd throw in a few tidbits for those of you that are still learning about me. But my talk today is going to focus on the Lacey Club, but also about the Endowment Fund. And when I got up today, it's pretty much the same every day. I've got a little dog named Gigi. She's a white little fluff ball. And then she usually pounces on me and starts licking my ears, and it's time to get up. And then my old black lab will move and let me know that it's time to go outside in her own special way. And so I get up, I walk across the carpet floor, across the wood floor, across the carpet floor, into the kitchen, get myself a glass of water. The dog's, of course, following right behind. Put my big dog out on a leash, pour her some food. After I get done with the dogs, sit down, open up the laptop, figure out what's going on in my world, turn on the TV, see what the news is like, get started, have a little breakfast, hot shower, take a drive, go to work. Keep in mind, 2/3 of the people that wake up in this world are waking up to carpet, and their idea of waking up to dogs might be a little different than ours. And they certainly don't get a glass of fresh water in the morning. I want to talk to you a little bit about the impact of what our giving does. And in particular, I want to talk about a story from this summer. I was at district conference, and that's a very enjoyable event. For those of you that don't or haven't gone, you really need to consider it, because the fellowship and the learning is really there. It's not just a formal celebration. The parties outside of the party are always the best. And as you might guess, after a few whiskeys, I got talkative and adventurous, and had interviewed this fellow from Africa, Sierra Leone. And I was trying to figure out what a well does. Well, you get water out of the ground and all, but I said, so how many people can a well help in your community? He says, well, normally 1,000 families. So, okay. Well, without a well, what happens? Well, we walk a long ways for dirty water. How far? 6 miles. Oh, 6 miles a day. No, 6 miles 4 times a day. 24 miles a day for each of 1,000 families is what a well can save. Now, if you do the math, okay, that's a lot of miles every year. Okay? It's nearly 9 million miles a year that one well provides. Our district has been responsible now over the last 10 years for nearly 400 wells. Okay? 3.5 billion miles a year are saved by what we've done as a district. What does a well cost? What does that represent? Well, our district has gotten so good at this. The initial average cost of a well that's going to last was running about $9,500. We've got it down to $6,000 now. Now, who's got a car that can get that many miles to the gallon, right? I mean, that is amazing. Can you imagine the impact of 3.5 billion miles a year? And then I asked this fellow, so when we get this water thing situated, what kind of project did Rotary do next? Well, you install toilets, sanitation. Oh, so without toilets and sanitation, what happens? He says, people get sick. Well, what's your average sickness rate? He said about 50%. 50%. Peak? No, averages. At peak, it's about 80% during cholera season, during the rainy season. So Rotary put in these toilets, and what kind of an impact did that have? He said, well, our sickness rate is now 15%. So now we've got people who aren't walking around looking for dirty water, who are actually healthy enough to do something. What was next? And he said, well, you upgraded our schools. What do you mean? He said, well, we don't have to inhale eraser chalk anymore and get dumb. And I said, boy, that explains a lot about me. Always clapping the erasers. And I said, no, really, what happened? He said, well, we use whiteboards. We have a laptop with an internet connection. And now the students stay in school. I said, they stay in school. 6 more years they stay in school. Wow. I said, what about class sizes? On average, they were 50, but now they're 30 because we have more teachers who want to teach. That's the Rotary Foundation at work. We didn't just give them water. We didn't just provide sanitation. We didn't just provide for education, because microlending is now involved. They know how to count. They know how to read and write. They're understanding basic business, and now they can develop an economy. So the Rotary Foundation is having a huge impact, but in a holistic way. Oh, and yeah, did you know that we're under 20 polio cases worldwide in only 2 countries? We're almost there. We're almost there. Now, bear with me as we have a fair number of red or formerly red badges in the club. Thank you very much. Lacey Club is great about recruitment, mentoring, and membership retention. But when we look at the Rotary Foundation, we have the annual fund that provides for these projects. We have the Endowment Fund, which is a forever giving type of fund. The interest or earnings of that fund complement those of the annual fund and provide for more money for those projects. And of course we have what used to be called Polio Plus, it's called End Polio Now, and that fund. And Lacey is the #1 club in the district, again, okay, for per capita giving at over $450 a person. Give yourselves a hand. Now, I originally took this role as the Endowment or Permanent Fund Chair. Al Brooks was a prominent Rotarian here in the area, much less the district. And Bob Lovely, a past district governor, had asked me, while Al was still with us, to be mentored in by him at the district level and focus on endowment giving. And we've done such a great job as Lacey Rotary in terms of our annual giving. I asked Jim and the foundation team to focus a little bit on endowment giving. I'm going to tell you a little more. When I first started, the endowment fund was hitting about $230 million of real assets, and it had about $600 million in commitments. Rotary said by the year 2025, we'll have $1 billion of commitments and maybe $600 million in assets. Well, we've already approached the commitments level of over $1 billion, and by 2020 we'll actually have that in our asset value as projected. The interest and dividends thrown off by the endowment fund in my lifetime will exceed the $150 million average of contributions received by the annual fund. What can Rotary do with twice the amount of money? It's your imagination. It takes young people like Matt, Kelly, Sasha to have this imagination and move forward, making miles saved at the village. The endowment fund recognizes commitment to the endowment fund and or cash giving to the endowment fund two different ways. Benefactor is the basic way. It's just a promise of $1,000 at a later time that you keep on a postcard. In fact, there may be some of these forms floating around. There will be next week. Our club right now has how many members, Greg?
106.
Of 106 members, 22 of us are benefactors. Okay? I'm going to read them off, but if you're a benefactor, save me a little time and just stand up right now, please. Because I want to celebrate you for making that commitment to the permanent fund. But Ken Balsley, Larry Blume, Dwan Bowen, Sherwin, Coulter, myself, Jim Durham, Karen Eistrom, Irene Emmons, Larry Engel, Chris Heck, Kathy Houston, John Masterson, Riley Moore, Ken Parsons, Gail Parsons, Fred Pierce, Cynthia Pratt, Betsy Spath, Lyle Stewie, Bruce, Margie, Avi, Frederick, Danielle, Dan Weiss, and Mary Weiss. And then we recognize, by way of the Quest Society, higher levels of giving and commitment as well. It's our goal as a club to bring it up. There is one club in our area that for 3 years has been 100% benefactor, and they have in excess of 70 members. It's the South Puget Sound Club. I don't like being second to anybody. I just don't. And Jim, I know, really doesn't.
Here's my form. Fill it out.
The endowment fund is a very powerful tool for the future. We are going to need these commitments. We are going to need your thinking about this kind of giving. And given the shortness of time, I'm concluding my talk because the president's saying yes, it's a good idea. But thank you very much. Oh, I got to sign the book.
Yeah, nice presentation. Actually, I learned a long time ago that less is more.
Yes.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you, the Rotary Foundation does absolutely wonderful work around the world. And for anybody who doesn't know, which may be some red badges, we are joining with our 9 other clubs and doing another water project that Dustin Wilson, Dustin, raise your hand, is coordinating. We're going to do that in Remba Island, Kenya. And those folks, there's like 5,000 of them on 1 square mile or less, and they have no sanitation whatsoever and no clean water. So we're going to do really good things there with Rotary Foundation money. So thank you again for the presentation. Appreciate it very much. And if you draw a ticket out of there, we'll do I have a book that you know the routine. I'm going to be donating to the Southside Reading Foundation. The name of the book is Wiggling Pockets. It's about a frog in somebody's pocket, but I think Treacy will do in place of the frog. Just get in your pockets and give some money, please. Man, Dr. Duerfeldt. That's an interesting signature. Okay, what are the numbers? This is for the drawing. There's $72 available.
547-2349.
2349, Julie. Okay, congratulations. Okay, thanks, Treacy. So you know the routine, 70